Tell you something real quick. In this life, there are certain things you've got to keep to yourself, and your next move is one of them. I know you're excited. I know you're fired up about what you're about to do. You've got big plans, big dreams, and you can't wait to share them with everybody around you. But you've got to understand, not everybody who hears your plan is going to celebrate it. In fact, some folks will smile in your face and clap when you're looking, but deep down, they're praying you don't pull it off. That's just the reality. You might not like it, but it's the truth. Some people don't want you to rise higher than them. Some people can't see themselves winning, so they can't picture you winning either. If they can't dream for themselves, they're not going to dream for you. When you talk too much about what you're about to do, you're giving other people the power to either water your seed or crush it before it even breaks the surface. And let me tell you something, negativity spreads faster than positivity. You might tell one person your plan, and they might start planting little seeds of doubt in your mind. Are you sure that's going to work? You know, a lot of people tried that and failed, right? Man, that sounds risky. And now, instead of being full of belief, you're suddenly second guessing yourself, because somebody who doesn't even have the courage to try what you're trying decided to project their fear onto you. People can't steal your destiny, but they can poison your drive. They can't take away what God has for you, but they can make you doubt if you deserve it. That's why you've got to learn how to move in silence. You don't need to announce every step you're about to take. Let the work happen in the dark, then let the results speak for themselves in the light. There's a reason why seeds grow underground before they break the surface, because in those early stages, they're too delicate to handle outside interference. Your plans are the same way. They're fragile at first. They need protection. They need privacy. See, when I was younger, I made the mistake of telling everybody what I was about to do. I'd get an idea, and I'd be so excited that I'd call my friends, my family, sometimes even people I barely knew, and I'd tell them my vision. And you know what would happen? Some of them would say, "That's great, Steve." But others, they'd look at me like I'd lost my mind. They'd start asking me how I was going to do it, how much money it was going to cost, how I thought I could pull it off when I didn't even have the right connections. And after hearing enough of that, I started believing them more than I believed myself. That's dangerous. Eventually, I learned the power of keeping my mouth shut. I realized I didn't need a committee to approve my dream. I didn't need a roundtable meeting to validate my vision. If God put something in my spirit, that was my confirmation. That was my green light. I didn't need everybody to see it. I just needed to start moving toward it, one step at a time, without announcing every single step. Some people don't mean harm, but they'll still damage your dream just because they can't understand it. They see the world through their own limitations, not yours. If they've never seen something done, they assume it can't be done. And if you're not careful, you'll let their small mindset put a ceiling on your big vision. That's why you've got to develop a discipline for silence. Don't post every move on social media. Don't tell every coworker about the business you're starting. Don't tell every relative about the investment you're making. Move quietly. Build quietly. Let them see it when it's finished. Think about it. The most successful people you admire didn't broadcast every single move they made while they were making it. They just showed up one day with something amazing. They let the work talk. They let the results do the bragging. And here's the thing. When you work in silence, you remove the pressure of outside eyes. You don't have to worry about who's watching, who's doubting, or who's secretly hoping you fail. You get to work at your own pace, make mistakes in private, and perfect your craft before you present it to the world. When you talk too much about your next move, you also invite unnecessary competition. The moment you share your idea with the wrong person, they might run off and try to do it themselves, sometimes even before you. Now, I'm not saying you can't trust anybody, but you've got to be selective. Not everybody deserves access to your blueprint. Some people aren't builders, they're thieves. They're waiting for somebody like you to drop a good idea in their lap so they can run with it. And here you are thinking you're just sharing your excitement, not realizing you just handed over your best shot to someone who didn't even have to put in the work to come up with it. There's also the spiritual side to this. When God gives you a vision, it's tailor-made for you. It's not meant for everybody else to understand. That's why sometimes when you explain it to people, they look at you sideways. It's not their fault. It's just not their assignment. God didn't give them the download. He gave it to you. So don't go asking everybody to explain what God already made clear to you. Move on it. Trust it. Protect it. The truth is, some of the greatest breakthroughs in my life happened because I learned to shut my mouth and just work. I stopped needing everybody to clap for me before I even took the first step. I stopped announcing everything I was about to do, and I started showing people what I had already done. And let me tell you something, it's a whole lot harder for people to shoot holes in something when it's already built. When the foundation is laid, the walls are up, and the roof is on, they can't stop it. They might not like it, but they can undo it. If you really want to protect your dreams, learn to love the grind in private. There's a certain magic in working while nobody's watching. You can experiment. You can fail without embarrassment. You can make changes without outside pressure. And when you finally step out and reveal what you've been working on, people will have no choice but to respect it. Because you didn't just talk about it, you did it. So from this day on, make a promise to yourself, protect your next move like it's a newborn baby. Because in a way it is. It's new. It's delicate. It needs care before it can survive on its own. Don't let just anybody hold it. Don't let just anybody speak over it. Keep it safe. Keep it hidden until it's strong enough to stand in the light. And when it finally does, it'll shine so bright that the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to watch you win. Let me tell you something about love. The best relationships are the ones that grow in private, not in public display. See, people think the more they post, the more they prove. They believe that showing the world every date night, every gift, every kiss somehow makes the love more real. But let me tell you the truth. What's real doesn't need an audience to survive. What's real is often at its safest when it's away from the crowd. Your love life is one of those areas where too many outside voices can destroy what you're trying to build. You ever notice how when people start putting their whole relationship on display, suddenly everybody has an opinion? Friends, coworkers, strangers online, people you've never met, all feel like they have the right to comment, criticize, or even warn you about the person you love. Some people mean well, but others, they're just waiting for cracks to appear so they can say, I knew it. And here's the thing, every relationship has ups and downs. But when too many people have access to your private moments, they start forming opinions off of snapshots instead of the whole story. That's how rumors start. That's how jealousy creeps in. That's how outsiders start to feel like insiders. In love, privacy is protection. When you share too much about your relationship, you give people the opportunity to inject doubt, comparison, and sometimes outright sabotage. You might think you're just being open, but what you're really doing is inviting the wrong energy into something that needs to be nurtured, not picked apart. There's a reason why some of the strongest couples you know don't post about each other all the time. It's not because they don't love each other. It's because they love each other enough to guard their bond from unnecessary interference. Now, I'm not saying hide your relationship. I'm not saying you should pretend your partner doesn't exist. But there's a big difference between being private and being secretive. Privacy says, this is ours and not everyone gets to be a part of it. Secrecy says, I'm hiding this from you. The first builds trust. The second destroys it. A healthy love life doesn't need to be broadcasted for it to be validated. You can enjoy each other fully without giving the whole world a front row seat. And let's be real, not everybody cheering for your love is actually happy for you. Some people are watching, not because they admire your relationship, but because they're waiting to see it fail. They're looking for clues, reading between your captions, and analyzing your photos for signs of trouble. That's why the less they know, the less they have to work with. Because let's face it, if you give the wrong person enough details, they can stir up drama you didn't even ask for. A simple disagreement becomes a headline. A bad day becomes, they're falling apart. Here's another truth. When you keep your love life private, you create a safe space for the two of you to grow together without performing for anybody else. You get to have disagreements without an audience. You get to make up without outsiders taking sides. You get to define your love on your own terms without trying to meet the expectations of people who aren't even in the relationship. Love is already hard enough without turning it into a community project. When you're in love, you're going to have moments of vulnerability, times when you don't have it all together, times when you're learning how to love each other better. Those moments should be safe between the two of you, not put out there for public consumption. Because once you let too many people into your private space, you'll find yourself fighting battles that don't even belong to you. You'll be defending your love to people who were never supposed to have a say in it. And here's the thing. Some people's opinions about your relationship have nothing to do with you. They're projecting their own experiences, their own heartbreaks, their own insecurities. They might tell you what they would do if they were in your position. But the truth is, they're not you. They don't share your history, your connection, your reasons for loving the way you do. And yet, if you let them, they will shape your perception of your own relationship. That's dangerous. That's how you end up making decisions for your love based on somebody else's pain. You've got to learn to protect the sacred parts of your relationship. That means keeping your partner's flaws between the two of you, not turning them into punchlines for your friends. That means keeping your arguments private, not broadcasting them online for sympathy. That means celebrating your wins in love together before you share them with anyone else. Because sometimes, the moment you share your joy, you also invite envy. And envy is a silent killer of relationships. It shows up disguised as concern, as advice, as just looking out for you. But in reality, it's someone trying to plant seeds of doubt in something beautiful. I've seen people lose good love because they couldn't stop letting outsiders into it. It starts small. Our friend says, "Girl, I wouldn't let him talk to me like that." Or, "Bro, I wouldn't let her do that." And suddenly, you're questioning a relationship that was perfectly fine before you opened the door to all those voices. Remember, outsiders only see moments. They don't see the whole story. They don't see the late night talks, the sacrifices, the ways you both choose each other every day. They only see what you show them. And if all they see are your lows, they'll never understand your highs. Love is a garden, and not everyone should be allowed to walk through it. Some people will water it, others will trample it, and some will try to steal the flowers altogether. It's your job to put up a fence, not to shut love in, but to keep the wrong energy out. That's what privacy does. It doesn't lock you up, it protects you. It gives you the freedom to love without interference, without comparison, without performance. There's also something incredibly intimate about keeping certain things just between the two of you. When the whole world doesn't know every detail, you create a bond that feels special because it is special. Those inside jokes, those shared dreams, those quiet moments, they're yours. They're not for likes, shares, or validation. They're for the two of you to cherish, and that's what makes them powerful. At the end of the day, love is not a show. It's not a stage where you perform for an audience. It's a partnership, a safe space, a home. And just like you wouldn't leave your front door wide open for strangers to walk in, you shouldn't leave your relationship wide open for strangers to critique. Keep the door locked. Let people see the light coming from inside, but don't let them rearrange the furniture. Because what you're building together is not for everyone to control. It's for the two of you to protect, nurture, and enjoy. Let me tell you something about struggles. They're a part of life. Everybody goes through them. Everybody has them, but not everybody needs to know yours. There's a reason why some of the strongest people you know seem like they have it all together. It's not because they don't have problems. It's because they've learned to fight their battles without giving the whole world a front row seat. When you're in the middle of a storm, the last thing you need is a crowd of people standing around, some hoping you make it, others quietly hoping you drown. The truth is, when you share your struggles with the wrong people, you give them ammunition. Some people don't want to help you. They want to watch you suffer because it makes them feel better about where they are. They'll nod like they care, but in their mind, your pain is entertainment. They'll take your story and repeat it, twist it, exaggerate it until it's no longer yours. And now you're not just dealing with your struggle. You're dealing with rumors, with whispers, with judgment from people who weren't even there when it happened. I've learned that half the people you tell about your problems don't care, and the other half are glad it's you and not them. That's the cold truth. It's not that everybody's heartless. It's just that human nature can be selfish. Some folks are so wrapped up in their own issues that they can't truly be there for you. And others, they see your hardship as proof that life is fair because now you're down, and it makes them feel like they're not doing so bad after all. This is why I tell people, don't let everyone in on your pain. There are times when silence is your best friend. When you're struggling, you need to be around people who will lift you up, not tear you down, and those people are rare. They're the ones who check on you without wanting to know all the messy details just so they can talk about them later. They're the ones who pray for you without broadcasting it on social media. They're the ones who remind you that you've got what it takes to get through this. When you tell the wrong person about your struggles, you opened the door for opinions you didn't ask for. People will start telling you what they would do if they were in your position, but they're not in your position. They don't know the whole story. They don't know the weight you're carrying, the nights you can't sleep, the mornings you don't want to get out of bed, but you do anyway. They don't know the sacrifices you've already made. Yet, somehow they'll act like they've got all the answers. And if you're not careful, you'll start listening to people who've never been where you are. And you'll take advice from people who don't even live by the words they're giving you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is keep moving forward quietly. Let people wonder how you're still standing. Let them be curious about how you're surviving when they expected you to fall apart. Because when you suffer in silence, you take away the opportunity for people to speak negativity over your situation. You give yourself room to heal without the pressure of performing for an audience. I know what it's like to feel like you have to tell somebody just so you don't feel alone. And I'm not saying you should bottle up everything until you explode. You can share, but share wisely. Share with people who've proven they can be trusted. Share with people who have your best interest at heart, not just an interest in your business, because your struggle is personal. It's a part of your journey, and not everybody has earned the right to walk through that part of the road with you. Some people will use your vulnerability as leverage. They'll remember what you told them during your weakest moment, and when the time comes, they'll throw it back in your face. Or worse, they'll share it with others to make themselves look important. That's why you've got to protect your story until you're strong enough to tell it without fear, without shame, and without depending on how people might react. When you're going through something tough, you need to be surrounded by energy that feeds you, not drains you. You need encouragement, not gossip. You need prayers, not pity. And you don't get that by telling everybody your business. Some of the most painful seasons of my life, I walked through them without a lot of people knowing. I didn't put it out there. I didn't make announcements. I just kept working, kept praying, kept believing that on the other side of this, I'd have a story worth telling, and I'd tell it when I was ready, not when I was desperate. One thing I've learned is that silence during a struggle doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Because every word you speak during that season is either building you up or tearing you down. And the more people you tell, the more you risk letting their words shape your belief about your own situation. If you're not careful, you'll start seeing your struggle through the lens of their doubts instead of your faith. There's something powerful about people looking at you and not knowing what you've been through, but still seeing strength in your eyes. They don't know the nights you cried, the times you almost gave up, the moments you had to fight with everything in you just to keep going. And they don't need to know, because what matters is that you made it, not how much you bled on the way. When you finally do share your story, make sure it's from a place of victory, not desperation. Share it when you've healed enough that it no longer reopens the wound. Share it when you can inspire someone else, not when you're looking for someone to patch you up, because you've shared too soon. Timing is everything. Your struggles are shaping you, teaching you, building resilience in you. And sometimes the lesson isn't just in the pain. It's in learning how to protect your peace while you're hurting. That means choosing carefully who gets access to you during those moments. That means stepping back from people who make your burden heavier instead of lighter. That means not posting every hurt on social media, because while you're waiting for likes and comments, you're also opening yourself up to criticism and comparison from people who don't even care. The older I get, the more I understand that not everybody is meant to know my struggles. Some things are meant to be handled between me and God, and that's enough. Because when you take your struggles to Him first, you don't have to worry about judgment, you don't have to worry about betrayal, and you don't have to worry about your pain becoming someone else's entertainment. So, when life hits you hard, remember this: protect your struggle. It's not a performance, it's not a storyline for others to follow. It's a part of your growth, and growth is messy. But if you protect it, nurture it, and handle it with care, one day you'll be able to look back and see that keeping quiet during that storm was one of the smartest things you ever did. One of the biggest signs of true character is how you treat people when nobody's looking. The world today has it backward. People want to be seen doing good. They want credit. They want applause. They want the pat on the back. But here's the truth: when you have to announce every good thing you do, it stops being about the kindness and starts being about the attention. Real kindness doesn't need a spotlight. Real kindness is powerful because it's genuine, not because it's trending. You've probably seen it. Folks with cameras out, recording themselves handing food to a homeless man, giving a tip to a waitress, paying for someone's groceries. And I'm not saying it's always bad. Sometimes it can inspire others. But a lot of the time, it becomes about, look at me, instead of look at the blessing. It becomes about ego, not compassion. And let me tell you something: the moment your kindness becomes a performance, you've robbed it of its purity. You've turned it into a transaction. I give, you see, you clap, I feel validated. That's not giving from the heart. I believe some of the greatest blessings in life come from the things you do quietly. When you help somebody and nobody knows, when you give without posting about it, when you make a sacrifice and don't even tell the person it was you, that's when you're operating from a place of real love. That's when you're giving for the right reason. And the right reason is never to be celebrated. It's to genuinely make someone's life better. There's a deeper reason why your acts of kindness should be kept private. The moment people start knowing everything you've done for someone, the meaning changes. Instead of focusing on the act itself, people start talking about motives, about whether you expect something in return, about whether you're trying to prove you're a good person. You open the door for judgment. Some will praise you, others will criticize you, and now your kindness, which was supposed to be pure, is stuck in the middle of other people's opinions. You also have to protect the dignity of the person you're helping. Not everybody wants to be the face of your good deed. Just because you're giving doesn't mean they want the world to know they're in need. When you make someone struggle public just to highlight your generosity, you might be embarrassing them more than you're helping them. And the sad thing is, sometimes people forget that. They're so busy trying to show how good they are that they forget to protect the pride of the person they're helping. That's not kindness. That's self-promotion disguised as charity. When I give, I don't need the world to clap. My reward isn't in likes and shares. It's in the quiet knowledge that I made a difference. It's in the feeling I get knowing that somebody's day is better because I showed up. And I promise you that feeling is more powerful than any public praise you could get. Because the truth is, public praise fades fast. People clap for you today, they forget about it tomorrow. But the impact you make in someone's life, that can last forever. Another reason to keep your kindness private is because it builds trust. When people know you won't broadcast their struggles or your help, they'll feel safer coming to you. They'll know you're helping out of love, not for credit. And that kind of trust, that's priceless. It's what makes people feel valued as human beings, not as charity cases. You also have to understand that when you brag about your kindness, it changes you. You start looking for opportunities to be seen giving, instead of just giving naturally. You start choosing the moments that will get attention instead of the moments that might actually matter most. And if you're not careful, you'll stop being generous from the heart and start being generous for the show. That's when giving loses its meaning. I'll never forget a story I heard about a man who paid for a young woman's education without ever revealing himself. Years later, when she graduated and started her own career, she found out it was him. And she said the most powerful part wasn't just that he helped her. It was that he didn't need her to know while it was happening. That told her everything about his character. He gave because he cared, not because he wanted to be remembered. That's the kind of giving that changes lives on a deeper level. private kindness also teaches you humility. It reminds you that you're not doing it to boost your name. You're doing it because you've been blessed enough to bless somebody else. It keeps your ego in check. And let me tell you something. When you give from that place, you'll be surprised at how many blessings start coming back to you in ways you never expected. You plant seeds in secret, and God has a way of growing them into a harvest that everybody can see. And here's another thing. When you keep your kindness private, it protects you from people who only come around when they need something. The moment people know you're the type to give and broadcast it, you attract opportunists. They'll flatter you, they'll stick close, but only because they're waiting for their turn to be the next act of kindness on your list. When your giving is quiet, it's harder for the wrong people to find a way to